compelled to submit to me. Yeah. What does that look like? That doesn't mean that I dictate every decision. I don't walk around the house saying what we're going to spend, how we're going to do it. We talk and we build. And I consider everything that's on her heart, her perspective, her position, her philosophy. I'll carefully weave that into my philosophy to figure out what's the best move for this family, keeping all of that in mind. Now, the moment I start to step outside of righteousness and I start to move from a place of emotion instead of analytics, she has every right to snatch that back, because submission is a gift. When she sees me laying at the foot of the Father, she has no reason to withhold that from me. The problem is this: men are not found in positions of leadership handling it with integrity. How you gonna lead your wife if you can't balance a checkbook? If you don't know what's going on in the stock market? You don't have a sound understanding of the finances. You can't create a budget. You don't understand what's going on in the educational system in your community that's impacting your kids. In order to lead, you got to be so far ahead of your family that by the time they come to you with a situation or a problem, you've already dived into it, done your due diligence so that you can give leadership.
Guys, it's your girl Twilight. I want to say that I really, really love what Fantasia's husband said in this particular clip from a couple of years ago. He's talking about the balance of nature as it relates to submissiveness when it comes to a woman. First and foremost, I can always tell when someone doesn't have a full and proper understanding of submissiveness from a spiritual perspective by the fact that they feel that it is an entitlement because of their gender. One of the most powerful things that Fantasia's husband said was, he submits to the Most High every day. He submits to the Most High every day. Do you know why this is important? Because as humans, we can be led away by our egos, by our woundings, and by our selfish desires. Those are not qualities that make for a full and out healthy dynamic between the man and woman. He said that you have to be so far ahead, knowing what's going on in your community, being a well-studied and well-learned man, having character and discipline, that when they come to you with a problem, you're automatically prepared. But if you are not prepared, then that gets snatched away from you. And so many times when I hear this argument of submission, it's pretty much imposed on the woman as if me, boy, and I do these things, and you, girl, and you do this thing. A very rudimentary understanding. And if we were to, break out any type of religious context, and believe me, I'm not a huge religious person, I'm not a Bible thumper, but I understand the laws of nature. And the laws of nature says that the leader must be able to submit to something, because a leader needs checks and balances too. When you are talking about being a leader, it is very different from being a dictator. And I think we get very confused about the two different terminologies when we are not submitting to anything other than our selfish desires. So it's really important, because I hear a lot of argument that the black woman is not submissive. Go to another phenotype, go to another type of woman, you'll get a better result, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that what is really happening here, and if you check out my last video, the context that I provided about the traumas that we've experienced as people of color, really gives a full and out holistic picture of the dynamics that we are dealing with. So I just want to be very clear that when you look at submission, it should always be a natural relationship and dynamic whereby there is an understanding between you and your partner. It's not something that the male is simply entitled to. So many men come on my post and gaslight the shit out of me. and make it seem as if though the things that I am saying is just so way out there. Oh my God, it's just the craziest thing. They've never heard anything like this before. And I am just rebellious and I don't want to, understand and be cooperative with a black man, and I just want to talk to them any kind of way. But what you have to understand is just as Fantasia's husband was saying, it's a character thing. Many people do not want to accept the fact that submission is directly related to character. And you can look in any text of any religion or any spirituality. It is required for any leader to have checks and balances. A leader without checks and balances is, in fact, a dictator. Okay? So one of the things that I talked about in my prior video is the trauma that we've experienced in the black community. And that trauma has reshaped our definition and the way that we look at each other. Notwithstanding, that trauma is also exploited because every time you turn on a music video, you're hearing bitch, bitch, ho, ho, bitch, 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 you ain't shit. And it is training our men to automatically dehumanize and devalue the women, regardless of if there is evidence that validate that belief. Constantly having your subconscious hypnotized to feel as if though your woman counterpart is that way certainly doesn't help you in seeing her as a full and out human and giving her the respect that she is warranted just for being a human. You won't see her as a full human being. You won't value what she has to say. And most of the time, you're going to look at her as a tool to serve your needs and your interests selfishly. And that does no good for the family. And it's not really a healthy dynamic. So as males mature, and they begin to understand that they have to have a spiritual base and a spiritual foundation, they submit to something higher than themselves.
I'm not mad at these women for feeling like they have to be defensive. They gotta look at everybody like they're out to get them. Because for so long, people have been out to get them. Even black men. Why did the term niggas ain't shit start? It ain't start because niggas was all that in the bag of chips and women just decided, I don't like the fact that I'm being treated so well. Let me start saying that niggas ain't shit. Y'all always say that we got that black women need to have accountability for their actions. You right, they do. But at the same time, so do you. If you a real man, you ain't gotta say it. Everybody will know that you're a real man by your actions. Same way y'all talking about black women are too masculine, black men are too feminine. The men of the old days are no more. Men like my granddaddy don't exist like that no more. But we want the women of today to carry themselves the same way our great grandmamas and our grandmamas carried themselves. We want them to cook, clean, be at my beck and call and all that. When you ain't taking care of her the way your great granddaddy and your granddaddy was taking care of her. A lot of y'all don't know how to fish. A lot of y'all don't know how to hunt. Some of y'all don't even know how to change a tire. But you want to poke your chest out and say you an alpha male. I run the household. I run shit. You need to submit to me. Give women something to submit to, and I promise you'll have no problem out of them. You think women want to be hard off? And guess that they teach us in pop culture. All the music tell us everything we need to know about the attitude of a black man to a black woman in this day and age. So don't look at me like I'm a simp or I'm a beta male when I tell your motherfucking ass that we gotta take up for these damn women. It's bigger than, oh, I'm a man and you a woman, so listen to what I say. It's bigger than that. If we don't fix us, ain't shit gonna ever change. And run into another culture just because you ain't strong enough or man enough to get your own fucking woman, a woman that look like you, to fall in line with your vision. Don't think that just because you go to another race, it's gonna be easier for you, because everybody got problems in this day and age. And I ain't got no problem with holding a woman accountable. I don't like a lot of the shit that they do. And I tell them, hey, I don't like this. Hey, baby, if you keep doing this, this is what's gonna happen to you. I ain't got no problem with a dude giving a woman constructive criticism. Cause shit, like I said, I want my daughter to grow up in a world where women are looked at and respected. I want women to be looked at in high regard. So if women is slipping, okay. Women, y'all need to be receptive to good constructive criticism. But the problem is, a lot of y'all dudes on the internet y'all ain't giving constructive criticism. Y'all just talking shit. Who the fuck want to sit up here and listen to somebody talk shit all fucking day?
I submit daily to the Most High. I stay in my scriptures. I continue to feed myself with things that help me build my character, to reshape my perspective that was messed up in the streets and dealing with different propaganda and programming and things like that, so that I can come to my wife from a pure position. So when I do that and she sees me and she witnesses over time that it's an authentic demonstration, her heart is moved and softened and compelled to submit to me. Yeah. What does that look like? That doesn't mean that I dictate every decision. The problem is this: men are not found in positions of leadership handling it with integrity. How you gonna lead your wife if you can't balance a checkbook? If you don't know what's going on in the stock market? You don't have a sound understanding of the finances. You can't create a budget. You don't understand what's going on in the educational system in your community that's impacting your kids. In order to lead, you gotta be so far ahead of your family.
But you poking your fucking chest out talking about, I'm an alpha male. You need to submit. If you ain't gonna submit, I'll date this woman and I'll date that woman and y'all ain't shit and this.
So here's where the simping comes in at. When I did a live stream about a week ago, I explained what simping means at its core. It's when you hold another gender in high regard without having evidence that that person's character warrants you holding them in high regard. So, for example, a guy that upheaves praise on women, but he don't know the, quote, whole facts, okay? But a woman who upheaves praise on a man and submits her life to him and trusts him without vetting his character first is also a female simp. Now, understandably, every man wants a woman to give him the highest form of exaltation, which is her trust. That trust is expected in the form of submission. But when a man does not have the fundamental base of having submitted to the Most High, he will lack the checks and balances needed in order for him to be a fervent and efficient leader. Again, submission is not dictatorship. And if we understood it from a more evolved perspective, there wouldn't be a bunch of rhetoric behind it and people wouldn't hate it. And I personally don't believe that black women have a problem submitting to black men. What I think black women have a problem with is simping for black men. Yeah, I said it. Simping for black men. See, largely that term has been used to describe men, how they react towards women, giving them automatic exaltation. But it appears to me that the males who are heavily steeped in their ego, who have not yet submitted to something higher than themselves, expect automatic exaltation. And then when you start to talking about their character, it's like, oh, you're disrespecting me. You don't want to submit to me. You're too masculine, and so on and so forth. But bro, I just caught you up in a whole ass scandalous act, and you're expecting me to still look at you the same way I did before I knew that you had these flaws in your character? So the thing that I like about what these brothers are saying here is they're talking about being a healthy form of masculinity. And as I said before, we celebrate healthy masculinity on this page. We celebrate healthy femininity on this page. We celebrate healthy balance of masculine and feminine in people. Okay? Understanding and being able to get into your vulnerability, taking accountability for your own woundedness and traumas and potentially your skewed perception of things. The only issue I have as a solid woman, and I speak for solid women, period, just solid women, okay? Not all women, but solid women, is initially I go in with the trust factor. Holding the man in high regard, it's him who comes off of his throne. It's him that shows me that he's ready to feed at the bottom and not necessarily walk upright and walk in his highness. He want to remain low, do low things of low character, and then still expect me to acquiesce to his leadership when actually he's shown me that he has not developed in specific areas that is important to having a family. I mean, let's just be real, guys. It's important to have some financial knowledge if you have a family. It's important to understand your core wounding if you have a family. You cannot lead from a place of insecurity. You cannot lead from a place of fragility and egotism, because you will be destructive in all your ways and highly destructive to all of the people who come under your tutelage, even if it's not intentional. So I think it's really important to change this narrative that we have going on in the Black community and realize that just by being Black in this country, we've dealt with some unthinkable, unimaginable things, and the shit is still happening today. There's no way around it. So to think that you're going to come into a relationship and find somebody baggage free, male or female, you're motherfucking delusional, okay? Black people, you're motherfucking delusional if you think you're going to find a mate with no baggage, because I can guarantee you're probably the one with baggage, and that's not fair to them. You carrying all this baggage and they just have to ignore it or deal with it or whatever have you. So I propose a more logical solution. Get you someone that's focused on self-mastery. And then you collectively come together, okay? And you come together for a purpose. Not for self-aggrandizement, not to have all your needs met through another individual, but to actually come together for a purpose other than self-gratification. Get you someone that's focused on self-mastery, and I think that is going to be the best course of action for both the Black woman and the Black man.